Now, on this day 30 years ago, the Oslo Accords were signed between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization. The agreements were seen as a major turning point in the conflict because it was the first time that Israel and the PLO formally recognized one another. This image became iconic on the 13th of September 1993. PLO chairman Yasser Arafat and Israel's then Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin shook hands on the White House lawn, overseen by the US President Bill Clinton. The Oslo Accords were a series of agreements signed between 1993 and 1999 with a goal that aimed to see Israel withdraw from the territories it occupied during June 1967's war, including the West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza. And so most Palestinians believe that the Accords would create an independent Palestinian state in the occupied territories alongside Israel, but that never happened. Over the next 30 years, Israel accelerated its expansion of illegal settlements, increased restrictions on the movement of Palestinians within the occupied territories, and built a separation wall. As well as imposing a siege on the Gaza Strip through its land, air and sea blockade, 3 decades on, the Oslo Accords are seen to have only served to cement Israel's occupation. Paul Brennan reports now from occupied East Jerusalem.
Yossi Beilin was offered a Nobel Peace Prize for his role in the Oslo Accords. It was he who instigated the secret back-channel talks, which led eventually to that momentous handshake on the White House lawn. But the 30-year anniversary brings him no pride.
It was not meant for so many years. Who dreamt that this A zone and B zone and C zone would be there for so many years? It is crazy. And the fact that it is still there is its biggest failure.
The Oslo Accords were never a conventional peace deal, always just a transitional roadmap. Negotiations over the final status arrangements, things like borders, the Palestinian state, the return of refugees, and most crucially, the fate of Jerusalem itself, were all to come later, but they never did. And 30 years on, with Benjamin Netanyahu still the dominant force in Israeli politics, the prospect of those negotiations resuming looked more distant than ever.
I think you can say that it failed, the process failed. Israel and the Palestinians did not separate, they are not coexisting peacefully side by side, as was the goal. The era of Palestinian terrorism isn't over, the Israeli settlement enterprise has expanded. In fact, we're more intertwined than was the case there, and it seems harder, it's a more intractable conflict.
In his near 30-year political career, Benjamin Netanyahu has never wavered from his support for Israeli settlement building in the occupied West Bank. Israel's assertion that it has no partner with which to talk peace is common parlance, and Israel has set about convincing the Arab nations that so-called realpolitik should take precedence. A normalization with Saudi Arabia is the prize on the horizon.
Apparently the idea of Netanyahu is first to make normalization or peace, whatever he calls it, with the Arab world. Then to strip the Palestinians from their Arab support. And then to be able to dictate to the Palestinians his solution. On the Palestinian side, it's not simple with Hamas and Fatah and whatever, but still I believe that Abu Mazen is a partner for peace.
For now, though, the signing of the Oslo Accords is the story of an incomplete journey, a project as yet unfinished, and possibilities so far unfulfilled. Paul Brennan, Al Jazeera, occupied East Jerusalem.
Let's bring in Nida Ibrahim, who's in Bethlehem, overlooking the illegal Israeli settlement of Har Homa. And it is an anniversary, but certainly not one that everybody is celebrating.
On the contrary, Palestinians would tell you that in the Oslo Accords, there wasn't an Israeli commitment to stop the illegal Israeli settlement building. This illegal settlement of Har Homa has been built on the lands of Palestinians. It used to be called Jabal Abu Ghanim. People recall coming here, playing here, having lands. Now, if you can see, it's a huge building complex. There are lots and lots of Israelis living here. This has been built in the 1991, which is basically 2 years before the Oslo Accords have been signed. So if it tells you anything, it tells you how much it expanded. It became bigger and bigger even when Israel has signed an interim agreement that was supposed to take Palestinians into statehood. What's happening now, as far as Palestinians are concerned, is that these settlements are preventing any possibility for having a contiguous state, because these are the lands of Bethlehem. They're close to the lands of Jerusalem. And this settlements kind of cuts any possibility for a future contiguous Palestinian state where people in Bethlehem, in Jerusalem and elsewhere in the West Bank feel connected to one another.
Nida Ibrahim for the update. Thank you. And of course, we'll be joining you through the day. Thank you.